Want to make an Afghan one block at a time? Join me and we can make one together. Thank you for joining me on the journey to make an Afghan together block by block. This video series takes 16 different Afghan squares, 3 of each of the same square, but each square of those 3 are a different shade of gray. You can pick your own colors, but I have the links to the 3 grays that I use down below. In the end, I will show you how to join the squares and finish off your Afghan. In just a few short weeks, we will have a completed Afghan. I want to make sure I give credit. The blocks are all a modification and a different version of patterns that I got from this pattern that I had since 1997. So I don't believe it's in print anymore, but I had to make sure credit was given to the original designer. This square is super fun. It is using what they're calling the slant stitch. So I'm going to start with my slip knot. I put it over my index finger and thumb and pull up my yarn. I have my size J crochet hook, and we are going to chain 25 loose chains. And it's always a good practice to double count and make sure that you didn't skip one. And 25, so it looks good. So we're going to start with a row of single crochets, and you're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So that's number 1 and that's number 2. So we're going to do a single crochet in the second one from the hook, and a single crochet, you just insert your hook into the chain, and I like to go under 2 strands, draw back 1 and draw back through both on your hook. And you're going to do that all the way across. So we have under 2 strands, draw through both. And we're going to do that all the way across to the end. When we're done, you're going to have 24 single crochets, and we'll count those to make sure. Okay, there's my last chain. Okay, let's lay it down and double check that we need 24 single crochets. 3 and 24. Fantastic. So for this one, to get started on the pattern, we're going to chain 3, and we're going to turn, and we're going to count that one as a double crochet. So that's considered a double crochet, and we're going to double crochet in the next. So that one will line up with this single crochet. So we're going to double crochet in the next one. So now we skip the next single crochet, and we're going to do 3 double crochets in a row. So in the next 3 down below, we're going to do 3 double crochets. So here's what we have so far. You have, this is considered 1, and there's a double crochet. We're going to skip this chain, and we have done 3 double crochets. Now this is where the slant comes in. You're going to yarn over your hook, and you're going to go back to that single crochet that you skipped, and you're going to draw up your yarn. And at this point, you kind of stretch out your stitch because you want it even with the top rows, so nice and loose. And we're going to draw through 2, and then we're going to yarn over and draw through 2. So basically it's the same motion as a double crochet, but since we've come back here, it's a slant stitch. So you come back to the one that you skipped, and then you stretch it out so it's nice and even. So we're going to do that again. We're going to just continue and repeat that across. So you're going to skip 1 single crochet, do 3 double crochets in the next 3 single crochets. You're going to yarn over like you're doing a double crochet. You're going to come back here to that single crochet that we skipped and stretch out your stitch to where it's nice and even, and then finish off your double crochet motion. So we yarned over and went through 2, yarn over and go through 2. We're almost to the end of the first row, and we have 5 slant stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And to end off that row, we're going to put 2 double crochets in the remaining stitches. So we just have 2 single crochets left, and we're going to do double crochets in those. Now at the end of that row, we're going to chain 1, turn the project, and we are going to single crochet all the way across. So in the top of the very first stitch there, we're going to single crochet 1, 2, and we're going to continue all the way across. I'm just showing you, there's 6, just showing you that some of them are going to look a little funny because it's the slant stitch, but when we're done, we'll have 24 single crochets. So that was number 6. Okay, we just finished the row of single crochet, and we need to have 24 of those. And I didn't realize I had pushed stop on the camera. When I got to the end, I only had 23. So I took it out and redid. So make sure at this point you need to have 24 single crochets. Now we're going to chain 3. We're going to turn the row, and now we get to do the slant row again. And remember, this is a double crochet. The chain 3 is considered a double crochet. We're going to do 1 more double crochet in the next one. We're going to skip the single crochet, and we're going to do 3 double crochets in a row. Now we do the slant stitch back to the single crochet that we skipped. So you yarn over, go underneath your single crochet, draw back your yarn, stretch it out nice and tall, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Skip a single crochet, do 3 double crochets, yarn over, go through the single crochet that you skipped, stretch up your stitch to make it nice and long, and finish off with the rest of your double crochet motion. Skip and do 3. And we're down to the end. Finish it off with 2 double crochets. Chain 1, turn, and single crochet all the way back, ending with 24 of them. I am closing in on it looking like it's a square, and so I've on my last row I'm doing the single crochet row, and now let's turn it over and measure to see how we're doing. So it's just a little over 6, and yeah, that'll stretch out fine. So that's a little over 6. And now this one is ready for its border. This one appears a little smaller because some of these have been measuring 7 inches, but every single one that I've done when I'm doing the steaming, it stretches out just fine. So you're ready for your border. To add a border on your squares, with the same color, we are going to do 1 border of single crochets, and then we are going to switch to the color that you have chose to be your joining color. And in my case, my joining color is the light gray. So your first row around is the color of your square. Then we're going to finish it off, and we're going to go join in with the color that you chose as your main color, I should say. So I have just completed the last stitch on this square. All squares are going to be a little bit different, but the process is the same. So you finish your last stitch, you're going to chain 1. In that last corner there, you're going to put 3 single crochets. Now we are going down the end of your rows, and we need to have 25 single crochets between this corner and the next corner. So you just space them out evenly, and each time I can promise you I've ripped them out probably 50% of the time because each one is just a little different. So I'm just going to show you my process. So that's our corner, and now you just start doing single crochets and count as you go. So there's 1, 2, I'm going to put another one in that hole. There's 3, 4, 5. I'm going to put another one in that hole. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9 in the same hole, 10, and 11, 12. On 12 to 13-ish, you should be close to halfway, and it looks like we're pretty close. So that was 12, 13, 24 in the same hole, and in this last hole we'll go number 25. Now we're up to the corner, and in that corner you're going to put 3 single crochets. 1, oh, there we go, 2, and 3. So now we have turned and we're going to go down this side. The beginning tail, I have wove it through this edge of the square, so it will now get caught into our single crochet. So we've done 3, and now we do the same process, 25 on this side. Okay, this is number 25 on my last side. So we have each of the sides now have single crochets, and at this point you just join with a slip stitch in that first single crochet that you started with. So just stick, there you go, I got it through both of the pieces of that single crochet, and a slip stitch is you just pull it through and pull it through. I'm going to cut my thread and then just pull through your string. And now at this point, so that I can catch that tail in my stitching, I feed it through that last edge. Now take your main color, which is my light color, and we are going to join it in the corner. Pick any of the corners, but just pick the middle of the 3 stitches. So here's 1, 2, 3. So in the center one, insert your hook and draw up your yarn. Chain 1, and in that same stitch, you're going to put 3 single crochets. Now we go on each side, but instead of 25 in between, we need to have 27. And this time it's a little bit easier because you're following the stitches from down below. But there have been many times, because crafting is not perfect, there's been many times that I'll get to the end and I only have 26. So I'll back it off a little bit and I'll add one here to make sure I have 27. It's very important to have 27 on each side. Each square needs to be blocked, and so I am using a June Taylor cushioned square blocker. But there's a lot of mats out there. I have the link for this one down below, but you need to pin it onto a mat 8 inches square. So each square needs to be pinned 8 inches, and I have been putting my pins every inch along each of the sides. And after we get that done, then we can steam it to get it into shape. So I start by putting a pin in each corner at the 8-inch mark and pin on each side, and then just add a pin all the way around. Okay, I'm just going to use my personal iron set on the steam setting. Steam each one of them for a minute. So I have my board, I have 3 of them on here. So I'm going to steam each one for a minute, come back and hit them for about another 20 seconds. And then when they cool down, I can remove the pins. Once they have cooled down and are dry, just pull off your pins and your square is blocked and ready to attach to make your Afghan. You may want to join your blocks as you go, and I have a diagram on the blog, DIYonthehouse.com, that you can print out. You can put them together in whatever order you want because I did not want any of the same colors beside each other. So however you choose to put them together, to join them, you'll need a large eye yarn needle. And I am going to join them with the light color, the same color as the second row of the edging on each of your squares. So just cut a piece, roughly a yard long, and we will join it with this thread. And the reason we counted so carefully to make sure there were 27 stitches on each side, that'll make this process really easy. So to start the joining, thread up a couple, maybe 1.5 inches to hide your thread in the last row of stitching. And I'm just going to leave a tail like that. And then I have, following the pattern, I have my 2 pieces. I'm going to fold them wrong sides together. And I'm going to match up the corners. And it is just as simple as going through each from the bottom around to the top, to the bottom, to the top, and do not pull them too tight, just kind of nice and loose, but not too loose. Okay, there you can see the pattern that is going. It just makes it all a nice diagonal little stitch. So go ahead and do your squares that way. When you get to the end, leave your tail long. Don't cut this off because you then can pick it up with your needle and join the next ones as you get them going. So just leave your tails nice and long and you can join your squares as you get them done. Once you have sewn all of your squares together, we need to put a border on the entire project. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I am going to use the same color that I joined all the squares with. So in this pattern, it is the light color. And I don't like starting right on a corner, so I'm going to go a few stitches before that. Just insert your hook, draw through your thread, drop your thread, and I'm going to chain 2. So that's going to count as my first half double crochet, and I'm going to do 2 rows all the way around of half double crochet. So that's 1 in the next stitch, loop over, draw through all 3 on the hook, loop over, draw through, yep, there we go. And continue that, and I started near a corner so you could see what I have to do when I get to a corner. There we go. Okay, this is the corner stitch. We're going to put 3 half double crochets in the corner. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going down the other side and just continue a half double crochet all the way around your Afghan. Okay, and by putting those extra stitches in the corner, it lays nice and flat. So when you come around to this side, we're just going to slip stitch in the top of the first chain 2 again, and do a second row and finish it off. It'll just give it a nice solid border.